Hi guys, so in this video I'll be showing you how to put together this chandelier we got from Range, the Spiral 5 Light Chandelier Chrome. We got from Range here in the UK, and as you can see we have the beads, the crystals basically that go with the chandelier. Take note, when you buy this it doesn't come assembled, so these are the parts that come with it. The bulb however doesn't come with it. I had to buy this separately, the halogen bulb. I later found out that it wasn't that bright, so I had to change to the LED version, but you can see on the box here it clearly shows the two types you can use: the halogen, the maximum of 18 watts, and of course the LED. We'll talk about that later. This was the previous chandelier, or rather the light frame that was there. I had already put up that iron frame you see at the top there is for the new chandelier, but for this one it has its own on top. That's the iron you see there. This here, the round thing you see there, is the top. That's the base of the chandelier. You want to, if you like, you can call it a top. Basically that's the foundation of the entire setup. With this particular chandelier, I found that the instructions weren't quite explicit, and I looked around on YouTube. I didn't find a video that explained it as detailed as I'm going to go into in this particular video. So as you can see here in the diagram, it just shows the number and the position of the crystals and the metal decorations, or should I say the light fittings that go on the base. We'll look at the manual up close soon enough. But as you can see here, I just laid out everything on the table, and you've got it clearly labeled alphabetically, I think up to, is it F or G, and on in the manual you can see there that from the center, or from the outside all through to the middle, it starts from A down to F. So of course it only makes sense for you to start from the middle, because that's the lowest point of the chandelier. So here's the base. As you can see, that is where I'll be hanging all the crystals and the metal fittings that go on the chandelier. Now they recommend on the manual that you could do this first before installing it, but I found that this is quite tricky, because depending on the cable, the power cable, as you can see, mine is short, and I'll show you some of the challenges I faced because the cable is short, so I had to try and improvise. That is the metal frame that goes on the ceiling that will hold the chandelier itself. So as you can see, he had already started with this. I just used a previous hole that was there, and I'm going to be creating a hole there to hold this particular frame. This frame you see is what will basically hold the chandelier to the ceiling. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm clearly this was a difficult video to shoot, to be honest, because obviously I was on a ladder and I had to use one hand with the camera, so some things will not be perfect, so excuse me for that. So as you can see, the cables out there. Of course, I failed to mention that the first thing you need to do is turn off the power in the house. Okay, you need to go to the mains and turn off the power, just so that there's no electricity flow at all in the house. And even after you do that, you check the light switch just to be sure that you did the right thing. Okay, so as you can see here, I have tied the other end of that frame. I screwed that in, and you can see a screw at the end, at the extreme end. The two screws at the extreme, those tiny screws sticking out there, those are the screws I'm going to use to hold the chandelier frame. Now here you can see where the power cable is supposed to go, so I'm just showing you the power cable there sticking out from the ceiling. And of course you should be able to identify the color codes there from the labels there. Not to worry, it's clearly labeled there, and if you're confused, just have a look at the colors that go into those ends, the live, the neutral. Just look at the opposite end and identify the colors, and you can just match the colors to go there. If you're in any doubt, please consult a professional. Now notice that I had to bend that power connection there. I was having problems because the cable was short, so I had to unscrew that. As you can see, I just unscrewed that from the base just so that it can give me some extra room to pull that end so that it can make contact with the short cable there. So as you can see, that was how I had to do that. Now you may not experience that in your case. Now when I unscrewed that, of course it meant that this bulb holder was loose, so you notice that it was sticking out. But of course when you tie that back in, everything will be good and fine. So make sure that this make sure you're very careful when you're doing this so that you don't break anything. You don't cut any cable because you're using extra force. One of the main reasons why it was difficult to fit those cables was because of the covering on that base. You notice that around the base, if you look, this is when I completed it. So uh, when I fixed the base to the ceiling, notice that there is a covering around the top of the frame. So let's go back to our manual. As you can see, it shows here F is the lowest end, so that's the longest crystals, or I don't know if I'm calling them correctly, if they are crystals or they're just the fittings. So there's E, there's F, all the way to, of course, you have A to F. So I'm just showing you here in the box where you have all of those fittings. If by any means you check your box and you find that any of them are missing, please go back to where you got it from. So you can see here I had already fixed these three with F and E. So F is the one in the middle, and the two on the sides are the E crystals. So you notice that they go exactly the way it shows in the manual. So what you need to do is you will have to basically make sure that all of these crystals are or the fittings are ready to go. And notice here it was difficult, like I said, shooting this and showing how I was doing it at the same time, but I did my best. So you notice the hooks that you have on the frame. I'm just showing you the frames here. I didn't put the bulbs there because at this time, at the time of the shooting, it was the halogen ones I was going to use. And with halogen, you have to be careful. You don't touch the halogen bulb because you could cause spots on that halogen bulb that would destroy it. Now, I'm showing you here the hook itself that will go on the base. Now, I later found out, I learned the hard way, that I should have at least expanded that hook a little bit just so that it's easy uh, to hook it on the frame. So notice there I'm taking my time to connect it to the hook, okay, so to the holder on the frame. So this is, as you can see, they've all been hooked there, and this will go all around the E and F crystals there in the middle as I'm showing. And you'll find that they are very light. One of the reasons why I didn't fix it, that was a good thing I didn't fix it first before hanging it, was because of the difficulty of trying to connect the power cable. So if I had done that, I would have had some of my crystals and fittings falling off, because it was a big struggle, a huge struggle. So what I'm doing is basically I'll fix, then I pause the video and I go back and I show you what I've done, since you already have an idea of how to do this. So as you can see here, I've already gone at least three like layers already, 3 levels. You'll notice that I'm showing you the crystals and the hook. Like I said, if you've watched up to this point, make sure your hooks are opened enough so that you can connect them properly. So I'm just showing you again. I repeated some things in this video just for emphasis, just in case you'd missed it the first time or it wasn't clear in the first shot. You would basically get it from me. But after you get the hang of it, the rest is just about grabbing your fittings and hooking and installing. Now that, even though I wouldn't say it was too difficult, it was hectic because obviously I had to be going up and down to do this. And as you can see, it's all coming together. We're almost halfway through at this point, and from the bottom view you can see what it looks like. And I also refused, like I said, I didn't put the bulb at that point. So at this point, notice I'm wearing the gloves, and with these gloves I'm still using tissue just in case with the gloves I picked up anything that would, of course, stain the halogen bulbs. With halogen bulbs, they're sensitive, so it's recommended that you don't use your fingers because of oils from your skin that could get on the bulb, and it could create spots that would cause that halogen bulb to burn later. So I was extra cautious, and wearing the gloves also helped me to reduce the amount of fingerprint stains on the base. Uh, One thing I forgot to mention as well was just before hanging and putting the crystals, the fittings, I had to give it a good clean because I didn't use the gloves from the very beginning because it was difficult for me to handle the cables using the gloves. So you can see here I've put the bulbs at this stage because I knew that I was going to have to put some crystals outside of it, and I didn't want to have to struggle with putting the halogen bulbs whilst the fittings have been installed. That's after installing the fittings. So as you can see, that is the warm version. It says it's warm white halogen. That's what it said on the box, and we thought it was going to be white, but it's basically yellow. It's yellow light. It's not white light, and we wanted white light. So if you're okay with having this, and it wasn't bright enough, it made the living room dull. So that's why we had to change it to halogen bulbs later, which was far brighter and consumed far less energy. So now I'm at the C level. So that was basically about just off. We've gone halfway already, past halfway. So I'm just showing you that this is the point that I'm in. Apologies, it's looking like it's upside down. So this is where I am, the C level before getting to the B and the A level. So just 3 more rows. So I got an assistant at this point to help me with the camera just so you see me in action. But like I said, the first part of this video has already shown you what you need to know to get on with the work. So you don't particularly need to watch everything step by step. You can fast forward at this point. One of the things I was trying to achieve with this video as well was also a basically an instructional video um, for anyone that obviously, like I said, the manual wasn't explicit enough, wasn't detailed enough. I had to look at it and for some time and try and understand it. With this video, you can get going the first few minutes of this video once you get the logic. The most dangerous part of this for me was the electrical part, and just get as long as you have a good ladder, then you don't have to be worried about falling off. So I had a good ladder, so that was good enough for me to stand on. So at this stage I got to the B part. So I'm referring to the manual just so that you get the logic, get the idea. So that's the way you basically follow it, layer by layer, row by row. So this is still the B part, just showing the same thing I showed previously. Now I have reached the final phase of assembling the chandelier. As you can see, I'm now at the very external point, the A part, the A layer. I call it the A layer because that's external, that's the exterior part of the chandelier. Just showing where exactly all the crystals and fittings will go. So this was the point where I realized, if I had a gap, if the gap was that wide for my hook, it would have been much better because it made it a lot easier to hook it up. Now I was scared at first, you know how it is with new things, that if I had tried expanding it, I probably would damage something. But when I realized that some of them were actually a little bit open, then I tried it with a couple of some of the fittings and it worked fine. So as you can see, this is the finished work, fully assembled 5-tier chandelier. Range has up to 8 tiers, so in case you're considering to getting a bigger one, if you have a bigger living room, you may want to get a bigger one because to be honest, unless you use the LED lights, it's not going to be as bright. So here I put this was when I still had the halogen bulbs in it, and it had 5. This particular chandelier takes only 5. So as you can see, that's what it looked like actually. The living room did not look bright at all. It was looking dull, and coupled with the fact that because the chandelier kind of has that base from the ceiling, it has a dark shadow effect from the ceiling. So here I'm showing you the previous one. So this is the halogen I used this was a week after I had installed it. Now this is what I'm going to use to replace it with, the LED lights. Now these guys are good. Just one of this, right? 3 of this are equivalent, 3 or 4 of this are basically equivalent in power consumption to 1 halogen bulb. So what I mean is, you see that halogen bulb I dropped on the table? That consumed 4 times the amount of electricity that 4 of these LEDs would consume. So basically, go for LEDs, power consumption, let's save the environment. So and it's much brighter. That was just amazing. Much brighter with far less electricity. How long they will last, I don't know. But for now, we're enjoying what we've got so far. So I've replaced those halogen bulbs with the LED one. So overall, it took me about 3 to 4 hours to finish this, but mainly because I was recording for YouTube as well. So for it, I would say maybe it'll take you about 2 hours if you assemble it first before hanging. So if you did enjoy the video, please give it some likes and share, and please subscribe to the channel. Okay, take care.